Might have.
Ooh.
They're ready when you are.
You ready?
I just wanted to, in case we get closer to the end of the day, we're gonna have to plan.
You want to close the door, Jeff? You want to close the door?
What, close the door?
Yeah, unless you want to be in the audience.
Sorry, maybe.
Someone has joined you. Do I say okay?
Ready to go.
Okay, where's my... How will I know when they can hear me? How do we pronounce her name? So we have to call, what's his name? You just see me now. You can see them? Should we do it the way we did before? Do I have to do something? Chat with other participants?
This is it.
This is it?
This is it. We're here. We came to play.
Okay. All right.
We're good.
Hello? Can you see
I don't know
me?
which one you want to do.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Thanks, guys. Can you...
Yay!
Hi. Okay. Are we live?
Hi.
Are live. Okay. Live from LA, as we like to say. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, another edition of Booktrib Live Chat, and our guests are Gregory Behrendt and his wife, Amiira. I want to pronounce this properly. Ruotola, Behrendt?
Ruotola.
Thank you.
Ruotola, yes.
Ruotola, thanks so much. And they are the authors of a new book that came out fairly recently called It's Just an Effing Date. But the reason why I wanted to have these guests on our live chat today was because He's Just Not That Into You changed my entire dating life. So I have to say,
Oh, good.
I mean, my entire dating life, we could talk more about that, but I want to fully introduce Greg, who his work was a script consultant on HBO's Sex and the City, and with Sarah Jessica Parker, of course, who is also on our site for her new shoe line, which we love, and also his book, He's Just Not That Into You in 2004, which I loved. So we're so glad that you're here. We have lots and lots of people on waiting to get into conversations with you. Hundreds of people have sent in tweets. It's just unbelievable. So we're going to get right into it. And I just want to say that those of you who are logged on, head over to booktrib.com to enter to win a copy of It's Just a Effing Date. Perfect for this month. So thank you so much, guys. I know that you're running from somewhere, and we're glad that you're here today with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so thanks. Well, getting started.
We're here to discuss our new shoot. Oh, okay.
Greg, did you have something you wanted to say?
I thought we were here to discuss our new shoe line, but I think we'll just do the books.
Well, we can get into that next, absolutely. Do you have any show and tell? We want to talk about, I mean...
I just have some drawings.
man's point of view on this was always amazing to me in the book, He's Just Not That Into You. I have to say that once I read that book, I immediately got it like I never got anything else. And I was single for 10 years, and this book really, really helped. I'm now happily married, thankfully. But I want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. I tell lots and lots of women about this book because it really did change my whole perspective on dating. So we're going to get right into.
Well, you're welcome.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Oh, I just said you're welcome.
Thank you. So I have a great question from Kendall. Kendall, thanks for writing in. I'm not sure where you're from. We'd love to know. But Kendall's question is, who has more of the power during the first date, men or women?
I'd say absolutely women, but sadly we give it up pretty easily.
I mean, it's generally the person who's been asked out is the person who is now in the driver's seat because they're the desired person. So if I've asked you out, I must think you're pretty great. And at that point, you know, I've submitted myself for your approval. So you really have the power, you know, almost instantly.
So is that the point where you have to, as a woman, set the value of your time and the value of your company? Or you have to kind of know that going in?
Absolutely, because the thing is, you know, the woman has the power. She is the thing that is being desired. That's the goal. But if you make the goal easy to attain, then you won't reap the rewards of actually getting to enjoy it. You know, the thing is, if you'll just hook up or hang out or quasi date, then that's sort of the level of the field that you're going to play on. But if you sort of hold out and go, you know, I'm not really, if you'd like to ask me on a date, I'll go. I'd love to go. But I'm not going to just meet you at a place or hook up with you and your friends, because once you set the value of your time low, it will be viewed as that.
Right. And just for our, you know, for our gay fans, it is really the person who has been asked out that has the power. They are the ones that they receive the invitation. So they, you know, they are the desired person in the situation. And by power, it's not a power struggle as much as, hey, someone's just said that they would like a little piece of your time because they think you're special. And that's something to remember when you're going out, that like, oh, okay, cool. This is, I've already kind of won in this situation because I've been valued enough to be taken to a meal. So
where does vulnerability come in? The person who asks the date is vulnerable, and then the person who has been asked is not as vulnerable in the beginning. But then, when does that level off when you're on this date? Because I think a lot of people are afraid of dating these days. Is that what I mean? That's kind of what I picked up a little bit from the book.
Well, I think it's been replaced so much so, like, you know, there's not a lot of people that actually go on dates anymore. It's a lot of sort of shortcut dating or quasi dating or electronic relationships. Like, a lot of the courting has gone to the wayside of formality anymore. And so, you know, the thing that we find, we get a lot of questions and letters from people who don't know when they're dating. It's gotten so, like, it's so much gray area that there's no definition, so they never know, are they allowed to have expectations? Is it too much to ask to be asked out? A lot of people think that they don't even deserve to be asked out because that's not what guys want to do anymore. But at the end of the day, you know, men are great when they're in pursuit of something that they want. And, you know, I was talking to some girlfriends recently, and certainly, you know, dating does put you both in a vulnerable position because you're going out with somebody that you probably don't know that well, and you don't know if you're going to have a good time. But at the end of the day, you know, the greatest rewards are those that you take the greatest risks on. Right. So you've made yourself vulnerable by accepting as well. I mean, granted, you've been asked out, so you are, like I said, you're the one being desired. But at the same time, you have said, I'm going to go have this experience, and you're both in it together. From the moment a date starts, you're in it together. You know, that's now you and another person trying to figure out how to communicate, have a good time, you know, finish the chips, whatever is happening. You know, it's a sort of you become vulnerable because you are open to the idea. So both parties are,
you know, in a sort of scary situation. You have to realize it's probably as scary for the person you're going on a date with as it is for you.
Exactly, exactly. We have a question from Aaron, and Aaron says, many people think of dating as a game. Do you think, I don't see the rest of it, Mackenzie. Do you think there would be more people in happy relationships if they just stopped playing games and expressed their what their intentions were right away?
Here's the thing.
First off, I want to say, first off, how do you know what your intentions are right away, right? A date is a come see, you know, it's a like, let's check this out. So I don't know what my intentions are going out with you because I haven't experienced you, and I won't know what my intentions are until we've spent some time together.
And I think that, you know, there is a game to be played while dating, and it's called Don't Freak People Out with Your Need or your agenda or your list of what you want to nail down. Like, let's just have this experience and see, like, is there chemistry? Do I like you? Do you like me? Are we having a nice time? Like, the idea of laying it out and putting it all out there, that will freak a lot of people out and make them back away from you, because somebody on a first or second date, no one wants to be responsible for taking care of you for the rest of your life when they don't know anything about you yet.
Right.
You say in the
Nobody wants to be responsible for taking care of you for the rest of your life, even if you're married. I mean, part of what is attractive about people is their ability to take care of themselves. But the other thing to remember too is that nothing that's really great, if you think about it in your life, has ever turned out exactly the way you thought it was going to. That's what makes it a surprise or better. And I think going in with expectations, you know, as they say in some of the programs, you know, expectations are resentments just waiting to happen. So I think sometimes you have to go in maybe with the idea that, look, this is just a date. It's not, it's just it's who knows how this is going to be. You know, it might be awful, but I'm going to go out, I'm going to give it a shot, and it's a couple hours of my time.
Exactly.
It's either going to be a fun time or a good story to tell your friends the next day.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the title of your book. It's not that big of a deal. Why are we making it such a big deal? But culturally, you know, you write about that less and less people are dating for a lot of reasons, technology and other things. But getting to know somebody it can be a really exciting and, you know, rewarding experience. Cynthia asks, what do you think about the possibility that this book would be a catalyst for a TV series or a special?
Well, we like the idea that anything we do would be a catalyst for a TV series or a special. So if you know somebody, you know, make a few phone calls, get a hold of our agents. We're happy to consider it.
You know, we have daughters, and they're not at the age that dating is a factor in their lives. And, you know, we have a middle schooler now, and there's definitely boys that are paying attention to her and leaving notes in her locker and calling her phone, that kind of stuff. And, you know, you know, the reason we wrote this book is, you know, we want dating to exist so that when our children are of age, they get to have the experiences that we had. I mean, men know they're supposed to ask you out. They still have dances at middle school and high school and college. There's still proms and homecomings. And they're trained with the idea of someone to you is special enough to risk asking them to go and then making a plan for where we're going to go to dinner and what flower am I going to buy for her dress. And, like, there is still the process of, yes, I might text 15 girls, but there's really only one that I'm hoping texts back. The rest are backups, right? And that's how dating has sort of gone by the wayside. If people are playing the field very loose and casually, but at the end of the day, when there's somebody you really have your eye on or you really have your heart set on, you will climb a mountain to get to that person or to get the opportunity to be with that person. And I think that women forget that to somebody, they're going to be that person. And someone will make that effort, and someone will absolutely put their heart on the line and call you up and ask you out in hopes that you'll say yes. But if you reduce the value of your time and you accept every quasi-dating hanging out thing, you're actually blocking that potential because people will stop seeing you as the thing of value.
So the answer to your question is yes, it will be a movie.
Sorry, I really went on a tangent.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It might actually be interesting to see a movie that educates people on the idea of what dating really is, or to bring that idea back up just in the culture, because I think it's an opportunity missed. I think it's, you know, especially for men, there's a great joy in courting a woman. You know, courting is the worst word, But dating is fun, and liking somebody and wanting to be alone with them and having to like sort of go through jump these hurdles is fun to get to where you want to be, which is ultimately naked. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
I may not understand. I may not understand dating at all.
In your first book, when you said, look, if a man wants you, okay, here's the woman's side. If the man wants to date you, he will make it very clear. There are no excuses you can't make excuses for the guy you have your eye on. If he doesn't call, he's not interested, right? And it's very black and white, which I thought was incredibly helpful. If somebody wants to be with you, they're going to try their hardest, they're going to make it happen, they're going to get to you, right? And that's what was so clear in that book.
Well, I also think too, when you're giving people information, if you give them gray information, they won't understand. If you give them black and white information, they can make their own choices. So they can either agree with you or not agree with you, but then you stand on the side of something. You know, just because a guy gives you one excuse is no reason to throw him out. You know, I did have girls come up and go, this guy said he was busy and I told him to go to hell. And I was like, well, I didn't say that crazy. I said, if it comes up enough, if you start to see a pattern, if you're discussing it with your girlfriends, it's possible that this guy's not into you, because you don't also want to pull the trigger on human nature. You just want to be able to know when to extricate yourself and see the red light go on, just to know, oh, okay, I may be running out of gas here.
Speaking of red,
I'm going to be using all kinds of metaphors this entire time.
but that's fine, because you bring up red flags, and oftentimes we see the red flags and we just step right over them. We're not really paying attention to the red flags. So those are some of the things to be aware of. I was really talking specifically about, you like somebody, you hope they like you, they say they're going to call, they don't call. They never call.
Right.
And you make up excuses. Well,
Yes.
maybe his dog got sick. Maybe this happened. Maybe that happened. But what you said is no.
Right.
If he said he was going to call and he doesn't, take that as a real sign. And I think that was really good.
Sure. Yes, and also act as like, just move forward with your life.
Right.
You know, maybe he'll call, but if you already in your mind go, look, I just, you know, I don't suffer fools. That's not the game I play, where you take my number and then call me. You know, I get it in February and you call me in March. Like, that's not me. You know, that shows you how much you valued me. Now, maybe you lost the number and you finally found it. You can prove that to me.
Right.
But the point is, if you live your life with a set of standards that work for you, if you go on a date with a set of standards that work for you, even those standards apply to texting. You may say, I don't mind texting, but my whole relationship is not going to take place on the phone. And if you want to ask me out, I have to hear it from your mouth, hopefully in person, but on a phone call. You know, I think Amiira and I have found that a lot of women are saying, no, you don't understand. Now it's all texting. It's like, no, you're still you on your phone. You still have the opportunity on it's not like your phone goes, well, I guess you got to take your top off. Like, I think there's an opportunity there to, you know, say, hey, I'm the same person here as I am when you're hanging out with me.
But you make a great point. You know, you say to somebody, I'd really like it if you called me. You're making a declaration and asking for something. Now, if they really like you, they're going to answer that, and they'll call. We have a question from Dylan, okay? I love the fact that the men have texted in questions and they're asking questions. Dylan asks, how important are first impressions? I've screwed up a few times on first dates, and the girl usually gives me another chance to redeem myself. How important are first impressions?
My feeling is people get more or less interesting the longer you know them and the more time you spend with them. So, like, a first impression is just that. It's a first impression. It does carry weight, but everybody loves an underdog story. Everyone loves the guy that blew it and then came from behind and won you over. Like, it's okay. So we all start here after the first impression. Sometimes you're starting here, but you can still be in the game. It's an opportunity for you to show how awesome you are.
That's a good answer.
And I also think, I mean, the subtitle to the book could also be, go on a second date. You know, just, you know, I think I was talking to a girl the other day, a young girl who is actually in my band, and she said, I just know, right? I know people. I just have good instincts, right? And this is somebody who's just been broken up with a guy who didn't treat her very well. And I just said, well, why do you want to know? Why do you have to know? Why do we have to be so sure about things right that second? Why can't you just come and just go see and don't know? Go there and not know, you know, that if he wears brown shoes, it's out. You know, maybe, you know, give something a shot.
So embrace the uncertainty. It's not going to hurt you really. Just embrace a little uncertainty. Have some fun.
Well, here's the thing is, you know, by making decisions based on limited information, you're actually like squashing what a relationship actually is. Like a relationship brings different parts of you out to the forefront, and hopefully you complement each other and you pull parts from each other and they become bigger and more buoyant, and you evolve. And you evolve into a better you when you're with a good person, and you evolve into a smaller you when you're a bad person. So when you put definition on it or decide something is what it is when you see it and when you think, you're actually like not giving it the opportunity to become what it's going to be. And it hopefully it would have been something even better than you expected, or bigger than what you're limiting to it, by deciding it is what it is in its current state at this moment, versus what the true, like, you know, oil and vinegar can be oil and vinegar and they can separate, or they can mix together and become salad dressing. Like, you're different things, and you will either mix together and become something great and tasty and delicious, or nope, that doesn't work. But to decide it is what it is before seeing if it mixes, you know, you're cutting it off at the knees, as they say. Is that an expression, or did I make that up?
No, that's right. And
We're
also
cutting it off at the knees.
Wear better pants next time.
Good answer.
Slacks.
We have a question
Slacks.
coming in
The hard shell.
from Kendall, who says, "Hi, Greg, and hi, Amiira. This is a question for Greg surrounding the fame of consulting on Sex and the City, as well as He's Just Not That Into You." And she asks, do you feel like you missed out on your stand-up comedian career going to the next level because you were doing those two things?
I suppose. I think I thought that for a while, but I've been touring a lot recently, and things seem to be going in a really nice direction. And also I'm not dead yet, so I feel like that was. Anytime you're well known for one thing, even though you did the other thing first, you know, if I had raced cars before I'd done that, they would have known me as the guy who wrote the book. So it just takes a little while to get people readjusted to the fact that I'm hilarious, and you should come see me in a comedy club.
No problem. So what band? You talk about being in a band. Can you tell us about your band?
Oh, I play in an instrumental surf punk reggae ska band called the Reigning Monarchs, and we make surf music essentially. Yeah, at reigningmonarchs.com and or iTunes. We have a new record out that came out in September called Black Sweater Massacre.
Oh, great to know.
And it's sexy stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We'll have to look that up. Are you going? And so, are you doing some stand-up now? I mean,
yeah, I'm doing stand-up all over the place. I just got back from North Carolina. I'm going to be in Atlanta next month, and then New York for a thing called the Starfish Circus. And then I'm going to go in April to the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and then tour the rest of the country for 7 weeks.
Oh, fantastic.
Of Australia.
Fantastic. Where in New York is that happening?
That'll be at the Bell House in Brooklyn.
Oh, great.
On the 29th of March.
Great. So you're going to come into the tundra. Hopefully the tundra will be over by then when you come back to New York. It's freezing.
Yeah.
We have another question from Artsy Addy. What if a guy you're dating doesn't want a family but you do? It's still early in the relationship. What are the odds he's going to change for you?
I think people tell you who they are, and if this person tells you he doesn't want a family, I don't know how much more time I'd invest in the relationship if that is genuinely the thing that your life will not be fulfilled if you don't have.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to decide whether being with this person is more important than the possibility of having a family, you know? But the idea that somebody can change is difficult, because they're going to need to want to change, and then you're going to make that change about you, and that's ultimately going to be a dividing rod.
And I mean, and people do come around on that thing. I have no idea what age range these people are in, or how old of a person he is, but you know, when you're younger, a lot of times it's not something that's on your radar, and then when you get older, you're like, you know, I actually want that. I didn't know I wanted it till I knew I wanted it. But at the end of the day, it's to gamble on something like that is going to be a relationship ender.
The other thing is that after you've invested a certain amount of time, you have to ask yourself, if this is something I want, and just because somebody doesn't want a family, I feel like we villainize those people sometimes. Just because someone doesn't want a family doesn't make them a bad person, but they may not be the right person for you if that is a part of your future. And it's a really, Amiira was very clear when we met, which was fine with me because I was already game for it, but she was like, I will get married at some point and I will have kids because I want to have a family. I want the experience I had growing up. And I was down with that, but she was also letting me know, if you're not down with that, split.
Right. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think what you're saying is listen, know what you want, and then pay attention. We have another question from Jeff. He asks, how has online dating changed the way you both think about starting a relationship? And have you had to adapt your tips to help people come together and have a good experience experience both behind and away from the computer? Big question.
I think online is a great way for people to meet. We have a lot of friends who met online and are now married. But I think the thing that's tricky about the online dating is a lot of times things can go pretty quickly because you're not face to face with a person. You're on a computer where it's a little bit more anonymous. You can be a little bit more racy, a little bit more forthcoming, and a lot of times things can get provocative or flirty to the point where when you finally do meet up, you're like, is this our first date, or are we supposed to sleep together now because we've already done the what are you wearing, or I think at the end of the day it's a good way to get to know someone, but you want to get on the phone and in person as soon as possible if you think this is somebody that you want to be dating, because it really does happen when you can see the nuances of their expression when they talk and the sound of their voice, and it's not, dating a computer and the things you can hide behind with a computer,
Right, you don't know if they have stank breath.
We're talking about intimacy, I think. We have a question from Jeremy, and he asked, what was the most memorable moment that you two had during your life class on Oprah, which is fantastic that you were just on that program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I would say the most memorable one or surprising one for me, and I don't even remember if this part they kept in the show or they didn't keep in the show, because we talked longer than the show was, so they edited it. But I was so surprised at, there's all these beautiful women in the audience. I was so surprised at how many of them were coming from the place of, you don't know what it's like, guys expect this, and so if I don't do this, I'm not even in the game. And I was so surprised that truly is the climate for a lot of women, like that they really reduce themselves based on what they think a man's expectation of them is, because he knows what he can get elsewhere, versus coming from the place of what they want, who they are, and any sort of worthiness. Because these are Oprah people. These are people that flock to the altar of, you're worthy, live your best life, have standards, believe in you, go for greatness. And I was really surprised and saddened that there were some really foxy women that were still settling for less than. And I wanted more for them because they were very cool.
My most surprising moment was when Oprah said to me, do you think if somebody has a child that they should disclose that on the first or second date? And then I said, yeah, there's a lot of things you should disclose, I think, just so that people know, like, I have a kid, or this is not my real arm. And she laughed really loud, and that made me really happy, because she's very engaged.
So warm.
She's very engaged, and she's very present, and she's really just an awesome person. But she also, like, I think people forget that, because she's has been a very serious person, she's also a really funny person, and she is gracious, and with her guests, if she likes you, it seems like she lets you have the floor and just run with it, and that's rare. It's really rare to find people that are that open with their own, in their own home, in a way, and I just was reminded of how cool she is. She's an incredibly nice woman.
Yeah, she's really warm.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
That's why she is who she is, right? That's wonderful. Those are both great answers. Matt, I'm really surprised we have so many men asking questions. I think that's wonderful. Matt asks, Amiira,
Yep.
what's the top thing a girl looks for when deciding if they'll go on a date with a guy?
What's the top thing a girl looks for?
Yeah.
The top thing. I would say the way he carries himself. You know, I really do think that the way a man carries himself, how he enters a room, how self-possessed he seems when he's talking to you, you know, it's his presence is the thing that I think really triggers women.
So confidence,
you know,
is a big attractor. Having confidence
I do.
And being comfortable.
And that doesn't mean like having a great job and a big paycheck and a fancy car. It's just that like a sense of self and the way he carries himself, I think, is the most attractive thing.
Lynette asks us a question. Have you gotten any emails or letters from fans about their dating success stories after seeing one of your interviews or reading one of your books? I'm sure that's a yes.
We have, you know, we get stopped in grocery stores by people who are like, I read the breakup book and I did all the steps and now I'm in a great relationship.
Take that steak out of your pants. Oh, you said we could stop it. Oh, I'm sorry. Because sometimes yeah.
At grocery stores, yes. No, we have, and especially also with He's Just Said That Into You, of people that, you know, it is all about the thing of, you know, it's all of these relationships and dates, they're just a trial run. It's just practice for when you find your person. It's all practice, you know, and I think that, you know, people have been able to look through the lens of our book and not put so much pressure or expectation or a sense of failure for past relationships and be able to go, you know, this is all an opportunity for me to be a better me and to value myself more and to look for better things for me. You know, it's that thing of we're humans, and as smart as we are, we still do really dumb things, and we know they're dumb when we do it, and we still can't stop ourselves. And I think that there's a level of forgiveness in our books where we're like, we've been you, we get you, we feel you, and it wasn't until we changed and did things differently that we got better things, and that's what we hope for you. So people have been, you know, very, very gracious and very sweet about our books.
Well, that is one of
And I just want to say,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just
takeaways-
going to give it to.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
No, you go ahead. What you were going to say, what I was going to say is nonsense. What you were going to say is probably great, so please go ahead.
Well, I think that there are many takeaways from your books, and the point is that you can read, we're all human creatures, and what Amiira said was so true, we're all growing and changing, and not everybody knows how to do dating well from the beginning, and your books really do help. I mean, they really, really help. So how do you two know so much about this topic?
We've just from lives lived, from mistakes made, you know, and for whatever reason, I don't know why we have this information or why people gravitate towards us, but, you know, we sit for hours, for years. We've sat for hours with babysitters talking about their boyfriends and different single friends and girlfriends and siblings and, you know, just
The mailman.
the mailman.
Strangers sometimes.
Yeah. I think here's what I'll say. I think what we have to say is probably not different than what other experts would say, but I think the way we communicate it comes out of
use a lot of swear words.
It comes out of friendship and lightness and humor and recognition and empathy, and I think that that's why it lands. That's why our books lands for the people that they land for. Other people probably can't even get through them. Because they're rambly and they're long and they're like, let's say it this way. How do you like it this way? What if I put it in this package? You know, but that's how I have to be talked to. I have to hear it 75 times. And it's not until I hear it the way I want to hear it that I go, oh, right. How come I never knew that? So I think it's us talking to ourselves in the books a lot of time.
It seems like
Also, I just want to say that I mean, I just want to say this really quickly, just for anybody watching, because there might be a handful of people that want to know why I have my sunglasses on, and I'm just saying that I'm going slowly blind, and so I have them on because I can't see without them. I thought I'd just bring everything.
On
to a
that
halt.
light note,
I thought I'd just bring that everything.
on
to a
that
halt.
light note, yeah, he is wearing these because he has to,
Okay.
not because he's an asshole.
Well, I mean, I am an asshole, but I also am wearing those glasses.
Right.
Well, it seems like you two keep each other laughing. So how important do you think having a sense of humor is in a relationship?
Well, for me, it has been too important because I always fall for funny. I have overlooked giant red flags if they're funny. So it's one of those things that I always, that's my trigger. That's the thing I go for. And luckily, I finally got one that wasn't a nightmare wrapped up in funny.
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm not. I mean, yeah.
Less of a nightmare. How about I found what's less of a nightmare? Laughter is important because life is long and it is great and it is also a struggle and it feels defeating and to have somebody that has your back that you can laugh with or that knows how to make you laugh, I think is very helpful.
But here's something I want to say about laughter. That's because the idea is like saying to someone they have to have a good sense of humor. It's not even that. It's what you and the other person create together. And
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that laughter is intimacy. So there's a vulnerability in being funny, and there's a vulnerability in making somebody be funny, and being funny in front of somebody, to allow yourself to be totally you and totally unguarded and totally weird or strange or whatever it is, and that is intimacy. And I don't think people think about that enough. That laughter can be as close to intimacy as sex, sometimes more, because you are really connecting. In a way that only you two can. I mean, Amiira and I definitely have our own things that we laugh about, and I think most couples do. They have that weird sense of humor and the things that tickle them that belong to only
it's
them.
their secret language.
Yeah. So I think it's crucial, but it's not a this person's funny, that person is not. It's what the two of you create together, because everybody can be funny. I don't believe that there's people that don't get me, fair enough, but that doesn't mean they're not funny.
Right.
Just missing out.
So the connection is really what we're talking about. Intimacy and the connection. In your book, you have 8 super extraordinary principles for ultra successful winner dating. For that, I think you have to go to Booktrib to see if you can win a book or go buy a copy. For those that are out there, it's Just an Effing Date by Greg Behrendt and his lovely wife, Amiira. Thank you so much for being with us today. We were really looking forward to it. I know I was. We promoted it all over the place. Booktrib is the place to be for the lifestyle destination for book lovers. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really wonderful. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Thank
Really
you
fun.
much. Have a great day, and this is the book. Whoops, here it is.
Thank
Take care.
you. You too.
How do I?